the staple to what Miami need to do, which is stay ahead of those fundamentals to try to win this game, because Minnesota, we know about them. They're all about those fundies.
Yeah, back-to-back hard points in both series they've recently played, with the Rio and Subbase now again being involved in this particular series matchup. And a good start. So again, this is kind of what you want to see from the side of Miami. SMG is getting forward, finding some good eliminations, and with that, a little bit of map pressure as well.
Yeah, this is the perfect start if you are Miami. You get all the kills. You're gaining all this early P1 time, and that's already 30 seconds away from this P1 hill. And now you're forcing Minnesota Rocket to now make a couple of decisions. Do we rotate over towards next? What angles do we tie to try to apply the pressure in towards P1? And every single time they try to make that decision, Miami make them pay for it. This has been a flawless hold to start for Miami.
You know, it's going to be one of those things that, let's just throw out a very, very, very foreshadowed moment. Let's say Miami runs away with this map, kind of like they had done when they were playing up against Carolina. Maybe you start to think about their map fluency needs to kind of grow a little bit. But hey, if you're able to get the confidence back into the shoes of Metals, who was a huge upstarter in qualifier stage 1, that would be, I think, a major momentum swing for this Miami team that's been kind of stuck in the mud. But rotating over towards P2, Minnesota here first with a couple of good eliminations, keeping it really just down to Lucky, but help has arrived, leaving Vivid by himself.
Yeah, Vivid's here, but his teammates now arrive. Can they find these trades onto the point? No, it's still Miami coming out on top in those engagements. And like you said about Metals, he was one of my favorite players to watch at the beginning of the year, because he was just so damn fast. The Rival 9 in his hand looks like a shotgun, and he's just consistently always setting pace. And obviously, he found a little bit of that in that last series versus Carolina alongside Eric Boom. So those SMGs starting to gain more confidence. You even heard in Eric Boom's interview, all we needed was one win to start the train.
Oh, ooh, Eric nearly able to finish off the last member into Linz, but Lucky right there to find the final bullet. So scrap time going to be fought for by Miami. A couple of contestants here from Rocker, though, not giving up on the full time as of, yeah, they're going to be late to rotation, though, especially as Metals is able to lock down as he finishes off the scrap time. Miami enjoying a 30-point cushion and the rotation to P3.
Yeah, they're full map control. We were talking about staying ahead of the fundamentals, and it's already 3 hills in a row where they have done so. And now Minnesota are forced to try to break on in. You have a couple players going through boxes, big one-on-one gunfight, one right there by Accuracy to potentially open up the flank. But you see the rest of his teammates, it's about 5 to 10 seconds before they even close to the hill. So Miami, to get those back spawns, they're going to be able to take down Accuracy, shut down that pitch and put their sole focus again all through middle map.
Metals on a heater. He's just not missing.
Oh my.
Eric Boom able to follow up. Nice little transfer over to Awakening, who gets shut down outside the windows. Last one left is Accuracy in the corner, and he will be dealt with by Lucky. So again, great stuff from Miami. Like you mentioned, good on rotation, but now all of a sudden, adding in some elements of being really, really formidable on their holds as well.
Yeah, they came out and punched Minnesota right in the mouth. They weren't expecting them to be like this on a map like Rio, where Minnesota have found a lot of success. Miami only get their first W, which was last week. But obviously, practice has been working its wonders as they find themselves currently up by 80. But finally, Minnesota in a situation where they're going to be the team to win the rotation, this time over towards P4. This could potentially be a money hill. How long can they hold it for?
Yeah, really good front line here. You can kind of see the high-low setup between Awakening and Linz. Only thing really not being covered would be Vehicle over towards boxes, but the kills are so darn clean that, oh, I was going to say Accuracy's now watching it, but doesn't make much of a difference. Vehicle does get traded just as he tries to enter into the hard point, but the follow from Miami is perfect, and give them a credit for a break here. This is, again, just so darn quick, so darn clean for Miami.
And they get that done in a 2v4 scenario. I was lucky you found 2 through the back end, Vehicle through mid boxes. They put 3 dead. All it comes down to was the trade, but eventually Minnesota Rocker have the reinforcements to push their way back into the HP. The final 20 is potentially going to be theirs. You just got to take care of Metals. Accuracy gets a read on him, so Minnesota have slowly climbed their way back into this game, and you already have Awakening off the rotation.
Tough gunfight there with Lucky, though. Follow-up from Linz. Wow, just trying to chow out. Must have gotten a one-shot call. Not sure if that was accurate or not, though, as Lucky finds 2, no problem. So once again, Miami find themselves winning rotation. This time a little bit more labored, a little bit more tested, but Awakening can't snap back towards Eric Boom, forcing Linz to have to collect the trade, and with that, Heretics again win the early time here on their final hill.
And the crazy thing is that Minnesota in the beginning of the season, they were one of the best game 1 teams that we had. They were basically undefeated in game 1s, but you heard the Des touch on it. 1-5 throughout stage 2. That means you're starting off these series slow, and they're already showing that. As they're currently down by 60 points, you have to try to turn it around and turn it around quick. And a couple kills going in their favor. It's going to lead to some much needed time at this P5. You're cutting down all the proper angles. All of Miami trying to attack from top mid, and eventually Vehicle is going to be able to slip on through, but now positioning known. Wow. He does find one. The fact that he's still alive is mind-blowing, but it's still Minnesota holding on to the time.
Eric Boom trying to finesse, but gets stunned. That's enough for Awakening to finish off. The last couple eliminations give him 3 in a row. And with that, give Minnesota about 10 seconds worth of scrap. So back over towards P1, and you look over at the top of the scoreboard. Sure, the gap is still a little bit wider than Minnesota would like, but honestly speaking, they're not getting terribly outslayed. The big kind of culprit right now is we haven't seen Linz be able to match up with the vigor that we're seeing from this Miami front line.
Yeah, you know it's only a matter of time before Linz decides to hit that switch, because he's one of those rookie SMG players who is definitely up for that Rookie of the Year. And if he can start to turn it around, they can get right back into this game. But it's still a 50-point game. All out mixed facet towards top mid. Linz finds two. Vivid with the third. All you need is a trade on Eric Boom as he's just trying to slide around, finesse with his life. He somehow is able to walk away with two. Now the reinforcements are here.
Awakening trying to finesse a little while longer, so the hot streak from Linz still does not give Minnesota enough favor to break in for what is the vast majority of this time here on P1. And keep in mind, so you have to look at your minimap. You've already got Eric Boom on rotation. He's got nothing but a 1v1 in front of him. So again, Miami's just kind of winning the war on both fronts, and that's enough for Eric to get in towards gate. Linz trying to find the kill in towards middle, finally collects it, but there are a couple of Miami members nearby that could possibly find this trade.
Oh yeah, there are Miami's everywhere, but if you are Eric Boom, you're just hoping that your teammates are going to find a couple kills in the middle of the map. They don't find any, so it's Minnesota Rocker currently down by 60. Let's step aside and listen to the comms and see how they can try to bring this back.
I have red. They give you banana red. I'm moving my blue catch. Oh, banana indicate, chase him. Push him. Get it. Nice. I'm I'll get time. You have time?
Yeah, time. Take me blue cut there.
Yeah, I can't get it. Blue cut. You're stun on side. I'm trying to look your blue cut. Behind him. Blue cut still. I saw shooting. Going for metals. I'm running in mid. I'm hitting box. I'm trying to box the box one. One kid's boxes. Boxes. One shot. Shit, it might hold you up. I'm gonna go. I don't see no bridge. I kill scaffold. One's back tree weak.
I'm going with you.
Back tree went to 10 metals, 1 shot.
Push up.
Mid. I'm in the guys.
I'll see him 10.
He's 10 metals weak. I got in the back. 10 metals, 1 shot. And bridge.
One shot bridge.
They're gonna spawn cheap him. Nice. Back secret metals in the middle of 10. Middle weak. He's going to back. He's going to play back.
You want deep right, guys.
He's in back tree. Metals in the back.
Back, one shot.
Nice.
Back, one shot.
He went off back. He went shop. He's on the kid, I think. You know what? Right there, corner.
One shot in the back, guys. Back, one shot.
I saw.
That's
in the back. That could be front. Alright, tool.
Give
me close box down. Yeah. You're on a
Wow, I mean, we're in an absolute battle. It feels like Minnesota throughout that. Listen, and we're starting to pull it back. I mean, Lynn's nearly able to go on to a 6 streak for the cruise missile, but even still, you look up at the scoreboard, and there's Miami again, 50, 60 points up.
Yeah, they were in the game at the end of that P2, but Miami stayed ahead in the fundamental column. They were making sure that they were the team spawning on the preferred side for P3, and now that's 2 times that P3, but they have dominated that hill.
Holy.
And off the rotation, you're thinking Minnesota, the way that they just got cooked at P3, you were properly set up for P4, but they're already late to the party. Miami Heretics are in for the initial 15, and they can get pretty damn close to even winning the game here if they can hold this down for the rest of the 40.
They're just swarming. It just feels like at any given moment in time, it feels like someone's hitting a pitch. It just feels like Miami have 5 members on the map. They're all over the place. And let's be candid, there are a couple of key 1v1s, 1v2 situations that are coming through for Miami that have really helped establish their success on rotation. So this scrap time looks pretty darn clean. Minnesota just kind of looking at it from afar, and they're going to have to default to playing to rotation here.
Yeah, with only 15 seconds left, you have to give this up. You have to now play perfect Call of Duty, perfect HP from here on out. Try to bring this game back. And the thing that's really been catching them off guard is, like you said, it's like there's 5 Miami players on the map. Every time they're trying to set up a push or trying to set up a break on one of these hills, they're getting flanked by one of the SMGs on the side of Miami. And now with Miami only needing 13 seconds, you have to make all these kills count. Linz and accuracy, they combine for 2, but Meadows there with the trade, currently with top mid control. Look how they're trying to set up Vico on that deep pinch.
Yeah, this is all about if Vico can find the 1v1 with Awakening, and then, yep, there it is. Now you have a natural pinch starting to occur. 2 players from the front, Vico from behind. He's also on 5 in a row. Not that I think he may need a cruise missile if this is successfully broken, but who knows? May still happen here for Minnesota, holding on strongly. Vivid and Linz, accuracy stepping in. Okay, 28 seconds still to fight for here, and Minnesota have the reinforcements established to try to soak up the remaining time.
Yeah, but now you're in a situation where if you are Minnesota, you have to not allow them to get any of that P5 hill, and you also have to start setting up off the rotation towards top P1. This is where Miami, with all those SMGs in hand, have been able to dominate. They find 3 in the feed. Last player up is going to be Vivid, so they find the break at the old hill, and they currently have top mid control. This is basically going to be GG.
Definitely feels that way unless Awakening can do something special, but as he gets turned aside, last couple of seconds are going to get tallied here for Miami, and that is back-to-back Rio Hardpoint masterclasses in their last 2 attempts. And it just, again, I walk away with the flat-out emotional reaction of, this was the Miami that we saw play things like Terminal Hardpoint back during Stage 1 qualifiers. I don't know where it went. Maybe they just needed Rio to kind of get themselves going again, but it seems like the motor is absolutely firing on all cylinders right now for the Heretics on Rio.
Yeah, they need a little Rio, probably a little match victory underneath their belt to start to get that confidence to show in their gameplay. You see it smiles all across the board for Miami. They said, there's no way in hell we're not going to be a good team at Rio. I know we started at 0-3, but we have the SMG, we have the pressure to make this one of our bread and butters, and it continues to do it, continue to show us week after week now. 2 victories in a row on that Rio HP. Obviously, great performance from Metals. 5K damage, 21 non-traded kills, and then Vico right next to him, 28 and 21 with 20 non-traded. Just every single time a pace needed to be changed, Miami were setting a tone. All around the fundamentals, I'm pretty sure the only time Minnesota won 2 rotations was at the very end of that P5 and the first rotation at P4. You're not going to be able to beat a team when you're late off the fundamentals, and that's what Miami made sure that they stay strong on this week. Was we do that little part, we're going to find a lot of success in HP that now puts them to 6-5 on the stage.
And that's the thing too, you know, when it comes down to like how are Miami winning rotation, it's not just that they're chalking up the old time and then sending everyone there first. You get these little plays from players like Eric who are just kind of outside of not just playing from scrap on the old hill, but he's kind of cutting off rotational plays to where if he finds one for his life, that's enough to stop Minnesota from finding any numbers from rotating over. So it's just, it's so pesty. It's kind of the way that I kind of think about it, you know, reflecting back over the highlights here. And, you know, that was something we saw last week as well when they played against Carolina. And the interesting thing about it, let's just assume that this thing goes to subbase. They do the same thing there as well. It's just with more ARs than it is with SMGs, obviously.
Yeah, and if you continue to play like that, that's what makes it super annoying to play against these kind of rosters. Because every time you're thinking, all right, they're going to chalk up the last 20, they're going to properly set up for the next hill. But no, those SMGs are creating layers off the rotation and even setting up pinches to make it a lot more difficult for Minnesota to execute the exact break that they want to come in. Just always being a nuisance, always being a headache on the backside for Minnesota Rocker. And unfortunately, they just could not get a read on it in map number 1. And if you're Miami, obviously you get your victory last week versus Carolina, but you only have 1 victory all throughout this stage. You can walk away with the second one. You best believe it's going to do some confidence to where they can cause a couple upsets at their own major.
100%. I mean, it's the right time to start getting hot.
Oh, yeah.
All those college basketball fans out there, you look at the calendar, it says March. That's when madness starts to happen. It's trailed into Call of Duty possibly here as well. We'll see. So off the game flow, now we start to look at what's to come. High Rise, Search and Destroy coming up. You heard the desk talk about it. Neither team particularly great at securing first bloods, but when they do, conversion percentage is extremely good, in particular on this map, Jay. So that has to be kind of the main focus, you'd think.
That's the craziest thing, because I'm talking about overall in the map. It's like 27% of the time Miami find first blood, they win it 100% of the time. On the opposite side for Minnesota, 42% of the time overall on attacking or defending, they win it 100% of the time. And then more specifically, even on the attacks and defenses, when both of these teams find that first blood, they win the round 100% of the time. So it's all going to come down to whoever wins that gunfight right off the rip of the game.
And on the same front, you know, you kind of take the opening duel percentage maybe out of the window a little bit. Success-wise, both teams have been particularly good on defense as well. In specific, I'm looking at what Minnesota's been able to do. I mean, they're 7-3 overall in defensive rounds, so that's incredibly well done. And I think on top of that, they're finding a lot of success on retakes too, and they're allowing the bomb to get planted a lot. So I think from the defensive side, you kind of maybe take the focus, you put the spotlight there, and you say, starts with first bloods, and then it finishes off with how do you play around the objective, maybe more in specific towards Minnesota, who's so good defensively at finding retakes on the bomb.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's a team effort. You can't force these one-on-one gunfights, especially if you're allowing that bomb to go down at B. You got to have those SMGs ready to contest and ready to trade those fights, because we know how fast a map like High Rise can go down, especially early into these rounds where no team has any trophy systems to work with. Oh yeah, Underground is going to be the playground for a lot of these players, so expect the battle between Vivid and Meadows through that Underground Red story to be that battle for the first blood.
Both teams are still in a position to try to fight for a little bit of winner's bracket action as well. You can see the Monster Energy pregame coming through. First and foremost, both teams need to find a way to win. That's going to be, you know, the first check that you have to find a way to mark off. But after that, it's going to come down to a lot of help from the other teams that are playing today. A little bit of assistance was earned right there with Carolina dropping. That kind of takes them out of a tiebreaker situation for that final position in the upper bracket. So the big focus now for both these two squads, find a way to win. And for Minnesota, more in particular, it's all about finding a way to maybe be a little bit more successful on the offense. Saw their ranks are about 12th across the league in almost every category.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. And it might be the caterpillar crawl up to the side back of this propane tank. His accuracy is just trying to find this timing for the first blood, and he might have found himself in a perfect scenario to at least take down one, but it's lucky there for the instant trade 3v3.
Delayed hit, though, from Linz over towards the opposite side of the map. Eric Boom is the only defensive player over on this A site, but oh, his vehicle predicted this. No, not quite. He looked out for a moment. Eric looking for the trade. Decent shots, but no kills. And with that, Minnesota now hold the numbers and the possession over towards the B site, and the propane tank blows up right at the end. So that's a clean finish there for Minnesota on their first offense.
Yeah, they had the numbers. They had the propane working in their favor. And they also find the first blood on the back of accuracy. Already keeping the numbers that we talked about before this map 100%. As Minnesota get the first blood, they walk away with the attacking round. Now Miami forced to respond on their attacking side. I don't know if anyone was able to develop a couple kills in that round to get those trophy systems down towards B Street. So
sure, yeah.
It might be another slow and steady round for Miami here on the attack.
See what the focus is going to be coming out of spawn. Bomb will be voluntarily left behind this initial push over towards A. And wow, Nettles from across the map takes care of accuracy. Difficult shots from Eric, but does tag up Vivid, pushes him off the high ground. So that will be a little bit of information denied, as Minnesota will no longer have the ability to scout across the map.
And now you already have a lot of information gained if you are Miami, because you were able to take down accuracy across the map. You already have propane control, and you already have crack shack, so you can start to push out over towards A. It's just to try to find this time and to work that bomb flank. There's so many different angles you can check from if you are Miami. Linz eventually is able to take down Viku, even up the numbers at 3v3 now.
Yeah, and they know Awakening's playing on the other side top elevator, but it's just he's such in a hard position to fight back from. And maybe Eric right there gets the information that he's vacated that premise. So Awakening's actually looking to isolate. Yeah, he's gone forward. They find a way to isolate on the metals, but Lucky responds. Big 1v1 here that Eric Boom needs to find a way to win, but gets caught on the mantle. And everything gets reset 1v1 between Lucky and Vivid.
25 seconds left. He's going to be able to recover that bomb, but last information that you knew, Vivid was in his spawn. He's now already finds himself behind enemy lines, so he's going to be able to work this bomb plant down at A for free, but Vivid might catch the timing here.
Yeah, how does Lucky try to set himself up post this plant? Oh, he's still worried about the defensive side of spawn, and Vivid just says, hey, how you doing? No worries there. Minnesota off to, I won't say a raging start here, but a good one nonetheless, 2-0 up.
And that simply comes down to the play from Awakening. I don't know who invested that smoke grenade through bottom middle, but he just gives him his positioning from top propane, jumps right through that B bomb site, is able to find a kill and then find a second as well. Then once you turn it into a 1v1, Lucky, he gets the bomb down for free, but he's still thinking that Vivid is in his spawn. But unfortunately, he hit the ring around the Rosie all the way up to that B street and was able to find a freebie for Minnesota to now win 2 in a row.
That's against the first blood, by the way, keep in mind.
Yeah.
So that conversion percentage, one of the two teams is not going to have 100% conversion percentage anymore. Nades aggressively set over towards A from Minnesota. Nothing landing, at least from Vivid's perspective. Vehicle playing a little bit deep. Eric Boom a little bit further forward here. Double stack defense over on A, which means that this B site is wide open, and Miami's going to have to play retake here.
Yeah, Vivid already got all the info he needed to get. Unfortunately, his teammate in Awakening does get first blooded, but he's instantly there to respond. Now 3v3, you have B-side control, but Linz, you could just relax there. Force your SMG to try to put this bomb down. It's Miami again in a man advantage.
Yeah, I think he may have heard shots from Lucky initially and thought maybe I have some timing to push through, but not the case at all. And Miami collapse over the top of the B site. So not officially a retake since the bomb didn't get planted, but let's call spade a spade. They essentially had to re-grab the site, and they do it very cleanly. So good awareness there off that mid setup.
And that just shows you right there that Linz is one hell of a teammate, because if one of his teammates are getting shot at, he's going to put himself in a position to at least assist them. But unfortunately, that's a gunfight he didn't want to challenge towards the top end of that B street. Puts his team in a man disadvantage, and then Miami with the numbers just trade efficiently in towards the B site. finally get on the board with Lucky, now having a phenomenal search and destroy. So if I remember in the beginning of the season, he was like Mr. Search and Destroy. If he can get back to that footing, Miami don't need to be sweating in S&D.
Yeah, and it was the case with his other 2 teammates that played with him a lot of the year last year in Challengers. It was the same thing. But I mean, you look at Lucky and Search, and he is Mr. Automatic. Eric, little mantle, sees maybe the tippy top of accuracy's head deep, but no chance to challenge that. Bomb making its way over, stun just to make sure no one's hiding in the corner. And Lucky tries to reinforce, but denied. Accuracy taking a very advanced angle over the top of this B site at range, and no confidence to plan as of yet, but Eric's still gonna try to hop it.
I was just waiting for him because you gained all that info with about 10 seconds into the round that no one was going to be in towards the B site, but now you allow Minnesota Rocker to know where the pressure's coming in from. Accuracy finds the first blood. Linz is there for the trade. Great communication from them. Minnesota 3v2.
Vivid's got to play Overwatch here on top of Hilo. Accuracy needs to start making a play forward just to try to assist at all, to try to get this bomb defused. I mean, there's a lot of time ticking on the clock here. Smoke comes down, but Vivid gets tagged with enough information saying Miami needs to go to make sure this defuse doesn't just get stuck. Lucky's gonna have to be the one to check it, but he's nowhere near. Wait a second, Vivid may have held this long enough. The pistol's out, and yes, he does get the kill just in the nick of time. Accuracy now for the 1v1. He's gonna immediately have to hop it. Lucky, 2 in a row from the ladder side. No, this time it's a little bit safer, a little bit easier. And Miami respond with a back-to-back round.
Oh, that's good stuff right there from Miami. I was gonna get on him a little bit, but just waiting so damn long to put that bomb down. But once they get it down, they put themselves in the proper setup. Lucky through underground is able to find the final couple of kills, and he does find 3 in the round, so he could potentially earn himself a cruise missile early on into the search and destroy. And I just think, like, if you're Minnesota in that situation, you know exactly where the play is coming in from. We just have to be a little bit faster on that retake because you allow Miami to get that bomb down, then maneuver their way out of the site. You're wasting all your attacks. Nothing is going to be able to connect, and then you're forced now for someone to instantly sink that defuse. And unfortunately, Lucky catches them off guard. He ends that round on a 5 streak, 1 off earning that cruise.
Oh, Metal's getting aggressive in towards this B defense. Has help from Lucky over towards the elevator alley. Eric has to play a little bit more passively over at A. Accuracy saw him, watched him the entire way. Now the only defender over towards the A site would be Metals, and wow, that's a hell of a set of shots. Takes care of Lint. Accuracy top Hilo, has Lucky in his sights, and wow, how is Lucky still alive?
I don't know. Thankfully, the propane tank kept him alive a little bit longer. Accuracy could not commit to that wall bang, but he sets up his teammate in Vivid and shut down Lucky. No cruise missile is going to be earned. Minnesota Rocker now in the man advantage. You can already see where Metal's on the map. He's going to be able to find a freebie for Accuracy. Instantly a 2v2 with only 40 seconds left.
That stalls out Minnesota pretty considerably.
Oh, yeah.
You have to make sure he's not still over at green, and Metals is gone. He's out of there. But this is going to take time to clear. Awakening's just kind of watching over the top of the map from topside elevator, and he's not going to be able to see anything. So this is going to be a blind commit for Minnesota towards B. Here's the hop for the plant. Metals rotating back over. Awakening playing inside elevator. Vivid on the exit. Not fully caught, but there's information there. But unfortunately, Vico will drop. Metals for the 1v2. And this doesn't look very good. Vivid off the regen's going to play top propane. Awakening down low. And, well, Jay, this would be an impressive one. And hold the phone. Awakening repositions here. Metals has to go re-clear elevator, but Awakening's nowhere to be found. He's reset down the lane with an AR. Shots are in, and finally Awakening puts it out of reach.
Ooh, the fact that Metals even had an opportunity in that fight to clutch up to that round. If you're Vivid, you just can't give him that free peek, but good play out of Awakening to read the setup, at least early on in the 2v2. He finds the freebie through the middle of the map, and then the re-wrap, ring around the rosy. This time it's him going up to the opponent's side of that B street. He has the AR. He hits the early couple of shots, so he has one shot, pulls out the Renetti to close out the round. Minnesota Rocker finally stopped the bleeding, take advantage again, up 3-2 now. I mean, to get all the info early on when they're just sending everybody through underground, jumping on into the site.
Well, call you Lisan Al-Gaib here. You've seen the future, brother. Miami is going to be tested this time by Minnesota deep, and it is a heavy stack over towards this B site. All in all, it does end in a 2v2 situation, though. It's still plenty of time in the clock. The only issue is Minnesota have a lot of elevated positions to where they will get the intel once it eventually crosses their path.
Oh, yeah, they have everything cut off. You already had the rotation coming in from Vivid, but he does commit to that gunfight. He loses it. Now it's instantly a 1v1. Eric Boom versus Accuracy. The Iceman versus the Rookie. With 45 seconds left, if you're Accuracy, just try to back on up, forcing to beat you by putting the bomb down.
Yeah. 35 seconds on the clock. Here comes the crossing of the paths, and it's just perfect from accuracy. Okay. Not much Eric can do right there. I mean, it really is just down to, do you find yourself in a good position with the rival 9 to take the 1v1, and accuracy pretty much made sure the entire way through that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it's just Minnesota took so much ground after it turned into a 2v2. You had top heli. You already watched them not push out of their spawn, so you had all the map control. You know, it's only a matter of moments for Eric Boom. When he walks out of the base, you have to check so many different angles of where accuracy is going to be playing. Probably got to read that he's going to be in the back of his spawn, but unfortunately does not check the elevator. And accuracy clutches up in the 2v1 for Minnesota Rocker to not give themselves a nice little comfortable cushion up 2 rounds back on the attacking side, and hopefully someone has a trophy on his left streak because these nades are coming.
Accuracy only stun, does get top propane very quickly. A lot of the nades have been fired off early. Late trophy placed by Miami defensively deep towards this lane. Linz over the top, just making sure Vivid stays safe. He's hopping in for the plant. Quick play here for Minnesota. Miami going to have some sort of a gut check reaction call, and there's a trophy down to keep them safe. This is going to be a tough test.
Because you have to check all these corners, but at least you take care of the bomb carrier. So now in the 4v3, make it a 4v2. Great read out of Lucky to catch accuracy. Now someone just stick the fuse.
Oh, but Linz hops in, finds the kill, gets out of there. Awakening follows up to the middle of the map. Hold on a second. This isn't done yet. Awakening does get traded out, but Linz is still in a position to where he may just hop this. Smoke comes through first, and he's got mind games in play. Over the top. First one comes through, but Lucky right there just to make sure it gets cleaned up. Maybe a chance there for Linz, but just flat out overwhelmed, and that's enough for Miami to find the defuse and put this back to within 1.
Yeah, Miami found the first blood. They found the second onto accuracy, and in the 4v2, someone on the opposing end has to walk away with at least a 2-piece to make that round even count. But once it turns into a 2v2, able to trade Awakening and a double chow. Not really worried about the smoke grenade. And those cheeky plays coming in from Linz as Miami read it perfectly. Now down 4-3.
Can they flip the script here, though, fully? Because we haven't really seen them find tremendous amounts of success, even in the bomb planted offensively. We talked about Minnesota, great with their retakes, in particular on this map. But at the same rate, they also let the bomb drop in and get planted pretty often. So can there be some success here for Miami to actually find a way to get this thing fully back to level terms? They're going to have to do it eventually. Lots of focus again back over towards B. Good nades defensively. Hold a lot of this back. Awakening also alerted that this play is on the way, and he will find shots to push Metal off his angle.
Yeah, Metal's just going to back on up. Wait for his teammates to try to assist him, but this can play out perfectly if you are Miami. Because if you can jump up through the underground, potentially find this kill for free on towards the B site, that could be just enough to work this bomb plan, as Meadows is going to try to clear it out.
Yeah.
This time, no stuns are going to be there, but Meadows gets the read on it perfectly. 3v3, but Vivid instantly there to respond, puts his team in the advantage again.
Yeah, man, this is the 3rd time we've kind of seen this same setup defensively for Minnesota. This time, Linz just steps into the site, though, but you've got accuracy kind of on top of boxes inside his defensive windows. He can watch he is just watching that ladder push. Vivid from heli stairs can follow up if accuracy gets the intel, and it's just so difficult for Miami to break through this setup with having no pressure at all.
But somehow, some way, Lucky is able to walk right up through the middle of the map, find that kill onto Vivid, and now with only 15 seconds left, you have to commit towards his bomb plant at B. So it all falls into the hands of Lucky. What can he try to get done? You get it done by yourself. Pushes right through the middle, finds a freebie onto Vivid, but then knows that the last 2 players from Minnesota Rocker are in their spawn. Lines up the first onto accuracy, and then the snap onto Awakening. This guy's taking over, man. What's that? Is this 14 already? Like, he might be going for 20.
14 and 5? Is that what I saw?
Jesus.
I know it. And the fact of the matter, like you mentioned, like, they win that round 2v2, moving through the teeth of the defense. Actually, it was a 2v3, wasn't it? Because Vivid on the stairs. And then you've got double crossfire setups from ARs deep in towards mid, and they still push through. It's 14 and 4, 5 in a row. So, I mean, Lucky has been a literal lifeline here for Miami. We're back to a 4v4 and 4-2-4 over on the scoreboard. And accuracy is going to get dropped early by Vehicle, the sole defender over at A. So now all of a sudden Minnesota have issues they need to deal with.
Yeah, now they're in the man disadvantage. And if you give a kill to Lucky, you give him a cruise missile, he's going to put himself in a very good situation to potentially at least walk away with 1 guaranteed round. Awakening throwing a couple shoulders. Vehicles finds his second, this time onto Vivid. Instantly a 4v2. Eric Boom finds a third. And this is where, if you're Miami, you have to communicate to try to give Lucky this final kill.
Bro.
But Vico is feeling himself. He finds 3 in a round. Miami now at game point.
And the trends have completely been absolutely flipped on its head. I mean, flat out, I was about to say, like, this Minnesota defensive setup, when they're playing through mid like this, has been super successful for them offensively. They're also finding good value in the early 4v4s, 4v3s, but now all of a sudden, Miami has completely changed the tone. Said, I don't care what your setup is. I'm going to break right through that. Quick round to follow up immediately afterwards. Has to have Minnesota second guessing, and I don't know what you run here. I mean, defensively, what do you call?
I think you just do the same thing that you did before. Have accuracy called on that cross, but get your SMGs in positions where they can find success. Unfortunately, the Propane is going to be able to take down Awakening because it's already a man advantage for Miami in a 4v3.
And accuracy's stuck here. I mean, the only bit of good news is he's got Vivid watching his cross over the other side, so he's not fully isolated. And on top of that, the Heretics have no idea that he's positioned this shot because he hasn't been here before. Green shots from Vikul across the map. Accuracy hunting for a trade. Oh, Vikul gets the info, resets. He's off the regen, but the pistol too good. Follow up though, trade, perfect. That's enough for the cruise missile to get earned. Linz has to track all the way back through underground to his spawn. And look at Miami. Lucky's already positioned forward just to make sure if Linz has to make this call, he will be taken out, and now the information will be known.
Now, if you are Miami, do you try to commit for the bomb plant? No, all information gained and just going to send it on to Linz. And on the back of Lucky, who had one hell of a game in that game number 2. Miami clutch up in the Search and Destroy, a mode that they have been struggling with all throughout this stage. But clutching on a map that you only played once. Keep in mind, they only played High Rise once time, and they lost to 6-5 versus Atlanta. Now you walk away with it in a clean 6-4 versus Minnesota. Oh, they're going to start adding this to the map pool. You best believe that. Miami up 2-0 in the series.
Massive stuff, man. And I think this is, again, layer by layer, map by map. We're starting to kind of shed the creeping doubt that we started to have about, was the performance last week versus Carolina just kind of a softball for them? Now all of a sudden you blow out Minnesota on Rio. You string together 4 straight rounds, 3 straight rounds at least, get on the high-rise search and destroy, all of which are super convincing. And let's be honest, 15-4 from Lucky was definitely assistive, especially in some of the closer rounds. But flat out, Miami, this is, again, I just keep going back to it. I'm sorry, fans out there, but this is the Miami that we came to kind of know, and for some of us, love in the first 4 weeks of Stage 1 qualifiers. They're just playing with so much confidence.
Yeah, they're playing with so much confidence that even down 4-3, Lucky with 20 seconds left, just run straight up the middle of the map. We saw accuracy before we even switched player games. He was watching every single angle from the back middle of the spawn. He must have got some really bad timing because Lucky just sprints right through the middle, finds that kill onto Vivid, and then takes down accuracy and Awakening behind enemy lines. Like, that's a round that if you're Minnesota, you can't let get away, because then you put that at game point. Instead, it goes 4v4, and then Lucky, his confidence is just there and continues to go on through the rest of the map.
Well, it's a dominant map number 1 for Miami, a little bit of a comeback effort and some heroics from Lucky to get that map number 2, and all of a sudden, we start to think, is it possible that Miami could somehow pull off a 3-0, which, by the way, they don't just need a win here. If they can find a way to 3-0, that helps out their map count differential for possible tiebreaker situations. So call it what it is. If you're a Miami fan, it's a must-win Karachi. We'll see you on the backside of the break for the control.
Upgrade your game with the Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty Week. The Call of Duty Week is brought to you by Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the CDL.
10 in a row, looking for the 11th! That's the round! You may never see one like it.
Everyone from Vegas Legion trapped behind enemy line. This is tough. As Ghosty finds 3 with 1 clip. Those are great shots.
That is what Shotzi buys his team so much time. He's able to find 3 more. He is just going, and you see what this does for their hardpoint.
He's just so good at being elusive. Yeah. It can be such a pain in the ass to deal with. That was a very, very good listening, and a reason you're seeing this score busted wide open, and map 1 is done. This guy is insane. Same time, Asim once again gets a kill. He's got 2 in this round. Every time you get numbers, if you're Optic, Asim has brought it back. Asim working on the ace. That's 3 for him in this round. It was plant or hold for the kill. Dashy chooses to hold. Get a chow, not gonna happen. It's an ace for Big Asim. What a brilliant moment for the newcomer on this Boston Breed squad. FaZe holding it down, looking for the win right here and now. It's Abe and draws in the feed. Sim joins them for the posterity, and that's giving you the final 10, and that should be map 1.
That is a nail in a coffin.
payment.
They'll Simp, by the way, with nearly 7k damage, so Simp was almost untouchable. Shotzzy might have the timing on the flank. No one's gonna turn.
Corners as well. Oh, come on. Shotzi's playing real good tonight. Nice tags. I don't have a clue as to how he has managed to survive.
Shotzzy versus the world.
He can't get the third, but here comes Shotzi, 10 in a row. Looking for the 11th. That's the round. You may never see one like it. Damn.
Welcome back, everybody. Like we kind of teased before the break, the winner's bracket is definitely still possible for Miami. It would be super helpful, not only if they need to win this series, Jay, but they also would love to see it go 3-0. And the interesting thing about it here is, this series doesn't get any better for Minnesota when you look at the maps and modes that are still ahead. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But again, this Miami team catching a little bit of fire, which means that, hey, sometimes the home team crowd just gets a little bit lucky, Jay. And we got tickets still on sale if you want to come root the Heretics on in person.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you guys scan that QR code. You can potentially find Miami Heretics making it out of that first round, because obviously the first major wasn't the best to them, but now they're going into their home turf. And the way that they're looking right now, they're definitely trying to cause a couple upsets at their own event.
So far, it's been, I won't say upsets necessarily, but it's been kind of eye-opening matches. The win versus Carolina last week, and now a chance to possibly 3-0 Minnesota Rocker, who, again, just based on their record, have not had a great stage. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there kind of wondering why, after the heroic run they went on, kind of the end of Stage 1 qualifiers into Major 1, but that has not been evident at all in this stage qualifier whatsoever for Minnesota. So Miami with a Karachi control ahead of them, a sub base also lingering, and then Minnesota, who's terrible at map 5s. I mean, it just doesn't really feel all that possible based on what we've seen from Minnesota to pull off the reverse sweep. But I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of a lifeline here to reset the series and come out with one of your better controls if you're the Rocker.
Yeah, this is their best control, and this is the lifeline for them. You're going into your bread and butter control map, and then on the opposite side for Miami, they haven't found success on Karachi control in about 2 months. That's the last time they won this damn map. They played it versus Atlanta, they got 3-0. They played it versus Toronto, they lost all the way into round number 5, but they just haven't found any success on this map. But as you take a look at the pregame for Miami Heretics, you win to keep your hopes alive. Losers can keep you, I mean, if you lose, obviously you're going to start in a loser's bracket, but you need all the maps that you can get to potentially earn yourself a winner's bracket, so you get multiple chances at your next event.
100% the case. And again, map count will be massive towards possible tiebreaker scenarios here for the side of Heretic. So they're looking to get this thing done cleanly in 3. It would go a long way. But they will be starting off on the offense. The other thing to keep in mind here, Jay, about both these two teams is that from both sides, both offensive and defensive, they're great at either finding success capturing ticks, or on the flip side, defensively, not allowing their opponents to find tick progression on this map. So this very well may be about who plays the objective better.
And I think just the way that Miami so far in this series, the way that the SMGs are playing, how fast the ARs are playing, they're going to be able to set that tone early on into this control. If they find the first couple of kills around the middle of the map, the second sync of progression is about to get called in. You already see their setup. No one's trying to edge on out. Minnesota Rocker, they're more in their setup, trying to play for the trap. And with those 2 kills, they're going to be able to take that player down in A and now force all of Miami to hit that reset in the back of their spawn.
Although Metals, whoa, big wins, opens up space on this overextension through the backside at A. And actually may go a little bit further beyond that. He wants to clear out top fire. Well positioned here for Metals on 4 in a row. Can also track backwards to make sure no one's sitting over to try to block off the spawn. The shots from Vivid should alert, and almost the beatdown, but Metal's off to a 5-0 start. I mean, he's picking up where he left off on the Rio. Get this guy a sub, and he just goes crazy.
Yeah, this is what he does. He's going to be able to find those timings with the SMGs, but it also allows his teammates now to sprint up freely up through that junkyard area. But now he's just trying to get a baited switch going because he can earn that cruise missile if he finds it. Yes, he finds that kill onto Awakening. So cruise missile earned. You already were able to extend that time by completing that progression over towards the 8 point. So you have 1:40. The first starts by taking control of Drunk. You got to eliminate Lins, but Lins shuts down that play by himself. He finds 2, and now Miami forced to break out again.
Should be dead to rights here in the corner. Should be. Please, someone get the trade. Don't let Lins do this. Pistol out. You're going to chill him with a pistol? Finally, Vico gets the kill, but boy, that was expensive. Essentially a 3-for-1. Accuracy also makes sure that Metals cannot sneak over towards that top soda position. So even though it's a great start for Miami, Minnesota holding 4 life advantage, and we're down to 70 seconds left in the clock.
Yeah, but at least now if you are Miami, you have somewhat junk control. But for how long? Because there's a couple players from Minnesota reading the pressure of where it's coming in from. You also have accuracy all spawning, knowing that one player is going to go on that pinch. You take care of him, and that's already now been a minute wiped off of the game clock. Not a single player from Miami even farther pushed up close to that B point. The defensive setup right now for Minnesota too strong.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Little test around the back. Eric Boom makes his presence known over towards the rocker spawn. But this is poor timing for Lucky, you'd think. He kind of comes around the back as well. He's shooting at ghosts off screen. Awakening just kind of working his life a little while longer, but regardless of what happens back here, Minnesota's setup from the front side of the zone is still so far forward that it really doesn't make a difference if Eric stays back here or not. He's got to come help.
Yeah, this is their last push too, because you see those spawns from Miami. Everyone over towards the chicken coop, so they're forced to overextend. You have to get past Awakening, who was the player who just came off the respawn. You find that first kill. Vico finds a second onto Vivid, so this is the last opportunity for Miami to try to get in. And they got 5 seconds to do so. You got to go.
Accuracy on the cross, only able to take down one. Lins tallying information as he steps in as the last defender, but Metals keeps his life. Help, assistance nearby, but does eventually get traded away. Eric Boom now, the last one left. It would have to be a 1v, essentially 3. He's getting challenged from all sides, and Minnesota will eventually find the kill they need. 6 life gap at the end, and really no progress to speak of over towards the other zone at B.
Yeah, that's just a good defensive setup right there from Minnesota. At the beginning of the year, they were one of the best defensive teams that we had on Karachi, and they continue to show it as they are every single time off the respawn, refilling those gaps that were needed to be filled over towards the junk side, making sure no one was overextending. The players coming off spawn, that's your angle. They just had a read on where every single player from Miami were trying to apply that pressure from. And they hold strong on the defense, only allowing 3 segments to get away from them. And I'm pretty sure Lins is now activated. I don't know if he's sitting at 10 already. Yeah, 10 and 3. That's a good start from your main SMG.
Yeah, 1.05 control KD for Lins. He is by far the best on the team. So if he can essentially provide what he had moments of on the Rio Hardpoint, but throughout this control, that could be maybe your X factor to try to reset this series. But quickly off the break off Miami, all over it, not allowing Minnesota anything over the top of the A zone. Eventually, Vivid will survive long enough to kind of keep the clock stopped, but Lucky, Top Bricks thought he had an angle at it, but not quite. Vivid wins it relatively cleanly off the reset, not quite, as Eric Boom will make sure that Miami continue to make sure this clock keeps on ticking.
Yeah. Don't even allow that first segment to get complete as well. You already have players up to a junkyard. You already have players trying to cut up through the middle map as well. So Minnesota, they do not have an angle, or at least the trades, the gunfights going in their favor to stop this game clock over at the 8 point. Finally, though, Vivid and Accuracy able to take down Eric Boom. First segment is going to be completed, and you see Miami on their setup. They're going to be nice and slow to this one, so they might just give this one up for free.
Awakening playing from top third finds Eric off his spawn. A couple of shots from Lucky, kind of similarly so, over towards that top AC position. But yeah, absolutely not enough success nor kills to find a way to break back over. So the extra 60 gets tallied. 20 plays 21, small advantage for Minnesota. But still, not a lot of ground to work with here in terms of breaking things open. And as wins will drop, Minnesota have to come off spawn and restructure.
Yeah, they have to try to get out of the spawn, but at least the good thing for them is not a single player from Miami are already pushed up towards junk. So you can apply that pressure up through red side. You knew that Vico was the guy at least playing over towards Ticket. He finds a freebie onto Accuracy, able to dance with death and walk away with his life. If you can earn this cruise missile, you have 2 to work with on the side of Miami. They're just trying to have the same exact setup, the same response that Minnesota had on their defense. Already 45 seconds knocked off that game clock.
Trades back and forth. 50-50 gunfights, largely speaking, but Miami start to earn a bit of an advantage in that life lead. 60 seconds now, down 2. Minnesota do kind of sneak through the middle of this defensive setup, and as vehicle drops, maybe a bit of cause for concern here if you're Miami, because Minnesota's gonna be able to hit this with some force. Lucky tries a challenge out accuracy and a huge 1v1 win. That'll slow down Minnesota just about to a halt. As Metals is also slipped forward, he tracks out Vivid, and now it's just down to finding these last couple of rocket numbers that have made their way in towards mid-map. And speaking of, it is just Awakening last one left as Vehicle finds the kill. Clean defense here for Miami now in the setup of the first spawn trap.
And that was such a big kill from Lucky, because if he loses that gunfight, it all falls into the hands of Metals, just trying to shut down 3 players over towards red. But once he finds that kill, you see Metal with the heads up play, turns around, catches the player off spawn, and then Lucky continues to slay in towards top red. And now there's only 20 seconds left. Minnesota's last hurrah. Wow. You have one player going on a pinch, Awakening through middle, so they have an avenue to try to get on in.
Actress should be able to just step on into the zone, stop the clock. Yeah, he's even got nades that are hitting over the top of the jump wall. So that kind of keeps Miami a bit at bay. Hold on a second.
Cruise missile.
Late round heroics here for Minnesota. Second player gets stacked. There's the extra tick. Cruise missile called, doesn't find anything. Kills for Miami start to come through, but they still have to clear off the zone. Second tick of progress. Now finally contested, but Lynn steps out, finds the kill. Eric and Metals trying to work out for the last couple of kills, and they will, but the extra tick does get tallied there for Minnesota at the last moment.
Yeah, you would take that if you are Minnesota. To at least put yourself up in the segment column. Now you're leading by 1, but you also get the investment of at least 1 cruise missile on the side of vehicle, so you don't have to worry about that going forward. But Miami, good on the defensive end. Tie the game up at 1. And now you just have to make up for those segments. I would like to see an early B pressure play, because I feel like Miami, at least in the beginning of the year, they were one of those teams that would catch you off guard. Everyone was going over towards A, stacking that point. But when you're able to catch them off guard for a B play, you're basically going to guarantee an attacking round. So I'm really curious to see what their initial start is on this round.
That'll be probably the kind of thing to highlight for both these two teams. Is there going to be any trickery up any sleeves here? I mean, for Minnesota, we kind of heard it from the desk. We also mentioned it briefly, but this is their most rehearsed and by far best control. So we'll see if they do get tested, if they have a response, or if they have something possibly up their sleeves on their own right. But for Miami, nothing strange here. A little bit of focus over towards Hotel. Eric gets traded out, but at least finds 1 for his life as Vehicle stays safe on the point. Contested, though. Accuracy trying to jump on in, but Metal's quick to recover, and that'll be the first take gone.
Yeah, first segment already complete. You have a lot of the left side control if you are lucky. Also finds the timing to not allow Vivid to eliminate his teammate on towards the point. And Miami, with all these kills that they're getting, it's time to hit that rotation. You already have Vehicle trying to push out towards the backside of Cafe, but with all your teammates dropping, this is probably not the best time to invest that cruise missile. Yeah. He was thinking it was going to go complete opposite, but at least that segment is going to get completed today. You're going to have 2 minutes and 18 seconds to work over towards B, with your teammates having a little bit of map control before they all get cut down.
Vivid does get caught, though, so Miami, like you mentioned, working through the middle of the map. Reinforcements quick to get here. Accuracy, the only one inside the zone. Linz seen over towards Arches. That's enough information for Vehicle to find the free kill. Trade from Lucky. Think he saw Vivid as well kind of come over the top of the jump ball, but look at Eric Boom. He's on the pitch. He should have 2 for free. Finishes both of them off cleanly, and now all of a sudden Miami, they should just be able to stack this. 2 players on. First tick already gone. Second surely to come with now 3 players stacked here. Minnesota have to try to hit this in the middle of the map. Jay, I don't think they're even going to get here in time. You got to win fights from long range, and it's not going to work out. Miami get the quick capture.
Ooh, I know they had 2 cruise missiles that got nothing done. Keep that in mind. When you get a cruise missile, it's usually going to guarantee 1 kill, but when you're finding those kills close towards red, at least finding that trade on the Vivid, you keep influencing those spawns for Miami to spawn close over towards that red side junk, and they were able to just use their numbers to bully their way in through the cafe. Eric Boom ends that round on 5, but now if you are Miami, you're up 2-1. You're up by what? Now 3 to 4 segments? So you have to try to make that up if you are Minnesota, but that's exactly way that you wanted to respond on that attacking ground. Now 1 kill from Eric Broom until he earns himself a cruise.
Yeah, they're going to need to obviously win this offense, but as you mentioned, it's a 5 tick difference. Yeah. So if they do it by lives, they have to at least capture 2 ticks over towards this B zone. But once again, Miami just right off the break off, not worried about just waiting to see where Minnesota are going. They're saying, no, this is our map. We'll take it. Thank you very much. Tough gunshots here as Metals and Accuracy are in a really tough argument over the top at Palms, but Awakening is there to kind of quell any further play. And with that, Minnesota stop the clock as they start to make some progress on A.
Yeah, and they have a lot of map control as well. You have bridge side. You currently have top red as well. So Eric Boom just trying to play for at least 1 kill, and he might be able to earn it. Nope, the shots in the back from Vivid is able to keep his teammate alive. But the first segment does get complete.
Okay.
Now Minnesota find a couple kills in the feed. Now it's time to hit that go button. Let's try to get over towards B and hit that early transition. But Vivid gets cut down. Linz is going to get red on the flank. He does find that kill, but now Miami are going to get all those close spawns over towards Cafe. It falls into the hands of Eric Boom, who finds 2, shuts down that pressure. So it's going to be time extended, but Miami ready for the push.
Yeah, absolutely massive double kill, though, by the way, from Eric Boom. I mean, because Linz is just out here just trying to keep Miami's defense spawning all the way out. But without any actual pressure on this B zone, Miami can essentially just take their time, clear things out. If they can. Linz on 5 in a row. Now all of a sudden he can try to hit this, but shot at over the top. Lucky trying to challenge, and that will be enough to shut things down. And in the meantime, it's Vico over the middle of the map to shut down Rocker, trying to hit from the front. So all of a sudden, what looked to be a good setup for Rocker gets completely foiled, and now they're under threat of being spawn trapped.
At least if you're our Minnesota Rocker, you have red control, so you can decide to fight right through the front end. But these next couple of fights are going to be massive, because if you lose them, you allow Miami to put you in that trap, force you to now overextend up through Coop's side, and they don't find any kills in the feed. Last player up is going to be Awakening. Does take down Eric Boom, gets a read on some metals, able to open up that avenue for his teammates to sprint right through forward. This is all out mix fest in towards Junk, and it's still Minnesota getting those close spawns to reinforce quickly.
And Vivid may just hop on the zone right here and stop the clock, as they're just continually labored 1v1s in front of the zone. Linz tagged up, finally finished off by Metals. Eric still watching on the cross. Vivid eventually gets taken down, and yep, here we go again. Miami just not content at holding still, but I mean, they are pushing every given moment they can. They're trying to win back these key positions on the map, and so far it's been very successful for them. 11v11, 40 seconds of the clock to go.
And now if you are Minnesota, you have some map control. You already pushed them in towards red. You found them in this 2 fights. All you have to do is eliminate these last couple of players before the rest of the cavalry jumps over that half wall. It's all about these fights. Unfortunately, they do not come out on top in the trade engagement. Miami up close and personal with those SMGs. They preferred those gunfights. With only 20 seconds left, Minnesota, this is your last push.
Yep, absolutely. Even players coming off spawn will have to go in one by one. So this was the last concentrated hit for Minnesota. Vivid dealt with immediately. Trade quickly there, though, from Linz. Follow up from Metals. It just feels like everything is being covered. I mean, give me a break. Miami just an absolute resurgence in these last 2 series. They'll get the series done 3-0 with a very clean 3-1, and Minnesota just continue to have question marks looming, as now all of a sudden Miami's hopes on a winner bracket are very much so alive. Unbelievable that we just said that with any certain certainty.
That's insane, man. They have just came out the last 2 weeks and played some really good Call of Duty. We're talking about fixing your mistakes on Rio HP, where they thought in the back of their mind, there's no reason why we should be 0-3. This is one of those bread and butter maps for us. We just have to figure it out. And when you figure out those rotations, you're going to find success on map number 1. But the fact that they walked into a high-rise S&D, which was game mode number 2, and they've only played it 1 time, and that was versus Atlanta, probably a couple months back. They walked away with a clean 6-4 versus a Minnesota Rocker who were undefeated on that map. They usually do not have any openings, but when you allowed Lucky to just pop, take over, drop 15-4, absolutely dominates in that map number 2, and then map number